And that recording will be sent out sometime tomorrow. So check your inbox for that. Attached will also be a questionnaire. So if you want to take time, fill that out, we would greatly appreciate it. So keep an eye out for that recording and the questionnaire coming out tomorrow. The chat is also open. So if you do have questions, feel free to post them in the chat, or you can take yourself off mute once we start the Q&A portion of the presentation. So I would hold off on questions until that time period, but feel free to take yourself off mute, or if you want to just post those into the chat, we would be happy to answer them. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to Nick. Nick, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, thanks, RJ, and good evening here in Cincinnati. Grateful for the opportunity to be working with Premier Health on this info session regarding interviewing well and tips and tricks to landing your first interview. Premier is a great partner of WGU's. I work as a strategic partnerships manager in Southwest Ohio, and really passionate about our mission to create pathways to opportunity and change lives for the better. Our first cultural belief is one by one. So Jennifer, thanks for joining us today. We are endeavoring to be the most student-centric university in the world, and hopefully a few others will have the opportunity to view this after we conclude tonight. But I got to know Amber Wilson about a year ago now when I came back from paternity leave. Amber was one of my first new contacts, and she was a student pursuing her MBA degree at WGU, and very excited to say she completed that earlier this year, and she was able to share some of her story at WGU Ohio's 5th anniversary in June. And Amber, thanks for all of your efforts in championing both WGU as well as Premier Health. So with that, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for being here tonight with us, Jennifer. I am stepping in for my my coworker. He was originally supposed to do this presentation, but I'm stepping in on his behalf. And just a little bit about me. I've been with Premier Health for 8 years. Just like a week ago, made my 8th year. I'm a recruiter, talent sourcing specialist. Long history with Premier Health. I was actually born at Miami Valley, so that is my home, and I love it. It's my baby. But I'm here tonight so we can talk about interviewing well, how to get your foot into the door, specifically for nursing type roles. I am a nurse recruiter for the TCU Transitional Care Unit and the Head, Neck, and Surgical Oncology Unit at Miami Valley. So without further ado, we'll get started here. Just a little background about Premier Health. We are one of the largest, or the largest healthcare system in the Southwest region of Ohio. Over 13,000 employees, 2,300 physicians, and we are made up of a network of 5 hospitals: Miami Valley Hospital, Atrium, and Upper Valley Medical Center. Miami Valley has a North and South campus, and they are all located in the Dayton, Middletown, Troy, Centerville, and Englewood, Ohio regions. So to get started with interviewing well, we will talk about before the interview, what to do when you're actually searching for a job, starting to put your resume out there, and during the interview, once you've actually crossed over and made it through the initial hiring process, how to conduct yourself during the interview. And then following that, we'll go over how to follow up and be the standout candidate that you want to come across as in order to obtain whatever role you are looking for. So before you get the interview, your resume, we always want it to be clear, organized, and easy to read. The minimal pages, I'll say 1 to 2 pages at most. Everything needs to be job specific. I actually recommending having more than one resume. If there's more than one type of position you may want to interview for, you can make it specific to that particular position. Make sure you're using strong action verbs. And again, quantifying, being specific what you did within your roles. Cover letters, that's very traditional. I can't tell you the last time I saw, well, I may have seen maybe 1 or 2 cover letters recently. However, I would encourage you to include a cover letter. That is your initial introduction to the recruiter or the nurse manager, whoever's reading it, and you can pretty much summarize what your strengths, your best qualities are. That's your foot in the door to capture their attention. And of course, you can also include letters of recommendation, anyone that can speak on behalf of your work ethic, anyone that can help solidify all those things that you're going to sell during your interview. Okay, so when starting your job search, you definitely want to prepare. Preparation is a must. That includes reviewing the organization, the job description, what the organization's missions and goals are, just to make sure you are a fit. You want to look into potentially what skills are required for the position to make sure you are applying for positions that you are qualified for. Outside of just having your degree, you want to make sure you're paying attention to the experience that's required, because although you may meet the educational requirements, some positions require more experience, or you may have to look at potentially maybe even entry level to get the experience you need. And when you're applying for jobs, let's see. I'm sorry. Did the screen just disappear on your end? Can everyone still see the screen? Something
Yeah,
weird
you're
just
still good.
happened with my computer, and that's going to be something else I get to later. Okay. Okay. And when you're applying for jobs, that piece, I strongly recommend websites such as Handshake, LinkedIn, and places where you can network to meet the recruiters and managers that are at the organization that you would potentially be interested in joining. And that's a way you can kind of get an introduction, start building that relationship, and selling yourself. Yes, to those recruiters, managers, physicians, and nurses, they're all found on LinkedIn. There's millions of profiles, and I found in my search of networking and actually being engaged with LinkedIn, most people are pretty friendly, and you can just send them a quick message and just say, "Hey, if you have questions about potentially what they do, the organization, it's a good place to start." So we went over researching the job, the organization, and preparing for your interview. When you go into an interview, I want to recommend take a notepad and pen so you can take notes. But when you go in, make sure you have anywhere from 3 to 5 questions to ask at the end of the interview. When the interviewer says, "Do you have any questions?" You never want the answer to be no. I Anything that you could think of, a question that will make you stand out, that is professionally appropriate. I would recommend any questions that you have, make sure you bring them to the table with the nurse manager in your interview. And you can practice answering those questions leveraging AI. I just found a really cool feature on Snapchat. And I don't even use Snapchat, but they do now have an AI feature where you can go in and practice. Okay, so before your interview, you want to minimize the number of things you have to do. That includes like getting your outfit ready and everything. The first step, you want to make sure you're aware of what type of interview you'll be conducting. Will it be virtual or on site? So if it's virtual, you want to make sure you check your tech, make sure you don't have any system updates scheduled for the time you'll be talking during your interview and your computer doesn't shut down. If it's on site, you want to know the drive route, how to find parking. If you have to even go a day or two before the interview, if you're not really too sure where you're going to go, you really want to make sure you know where to go. And then for your attire, keep it professional, nothing that's going to be distracting or taking away from you as a person. And you want to set that aside a good 24 hours so you're not scrambling at the last minute like I do a lot of times to get ready. And then sleep well, not just the night before. I say you want to sleep well every single night. And I know that's not always the easiest to do, but just keep in mind that those first 2 days while you're preparing for your interview, you want to be well rested. And then a cold shower, study shows that it elevates your mood, it enhances your focus and builds resilience. And before the interview, if you're not early, then you're late. Early for me is 30 minutes. I have shown up to an interview an hour before, but I will not recommend that. Not to say it was a bad thing, but you also want to be cognizant of the interviewer's time and their schedule. So I would say 30 minutes is enough time for you to be able to find parking and find where you need to go. And just be prompt. Try your hardest not to be late, even if you have to leave an hour before, just to be sitting in the parking lot to physically be there. I would recommend it. And then during the interview, some breath work techniques, box breathing, the psychological sigh. I am not really that versed in those things. I tend to just take deep breaths and just relax, and I'll keep counting and breathing until I feel a little bit more relaxed and ready. You want to be formal, but you don't want to overdo it. You can always not to assume, for example, Mr. Brown or Dr. Brown. You may want to ask the person how they want to be addressed. Less is more. Some eye contact. This is something that I'm personally working on. Growing up, it was always look at someone when you're talking to them, but you have to remember that other cultures may not necessarily accept like consistent eye contact. So it's okay to make eye contact, but you may want to look away. Just don't stare directly deep into someone's soul. And try to be relatable, memorable. That's what I was saying with the 3 to 5 questions. Something I can't even think of, just any type of question that will, when you walk out that door, you think the recruiter will remember and think on. And then always take notes, always have your pen and pad ready. When you're in your interview, there will be things that you'll discuss that you may want to remember, like whether it's your shift or one of the questions I've asked in the past, what does a typical day on the unit look like? And then you may want to jot down some notes regarding to that. Refer to your questions, and during the interview, don't say you don't have any questions at the end. Even if you just want to bring up something organizationally related, you can ask them more about a particular area related to the unit. Don't ask about salary. You are able to negotiate pay. I generally would say wait until they give you an offer. And then based on your strengths, your talents, and abilities, you can negotiate that. And if you are a candidate that they want to pursue, that can work out into your favor as well. And don't speak poorly about past employers. That's when we mentioned less is more sometimes. You don't want to go in trashing your previous employer because that sometimes leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth. And then after your interview, thank yous. You always want to follow up with a quick thank you email. Just you appreciate the opportunity, and you can also follow up that what you're planning to do if chosen to help add value to the organization. Maybe snail mail. I've never received a letter. I think that would be a way to stand out. I've never received any snail mail from a candidate, but that is a potential way to stand out if you are truly interested in a position. And then for follow up, I would say allow a couple of days, 2 to 3, well, 2 to 3, 4 business days. Just give them a couple of days to make a decision. If you haven't heard anything by the end of that week since following your interview, I would reach back out, seek feedback from the interviewer or the nurse manager. And then that brings us to exploring your potential with Premier Health. As I stated, I am over the head, neck, and surgical oncology unit in TCU at Miami Valley. We are currently hiring various specialties across all 5 hospitals. We are offering enhanced incentives and sign-on bonuses of up to $50,000, depending on which area you go into. And right now, one of those areas, the Neuro Advanced Care Unit at Miami Valley, is hiring for all shifts. After the presentation or after I finish this out, I will go ahead and my contact information will be within the presentation, but I will also drop a link in the chat in case anyone wants to schedule a one-on-one with me to discuss more in depth about Premier Health. And then outside of that, that is my contact information there. And you can reach me by email. The phone number there is a mobile work phone, so you can text me at that number. I'm usually always available if you have any further questions. And then I believe that would conclude my presentation. And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free, put them in the chat, come off of mute.
Thank you, Amber. One thing, Amber, once you post that into the chat, I'm also going to send that out in the email
Perfect.
with the recording so that people are able to do that.
Perfect.
But Jennifer, did you have any questions for Amber? And as you
Not at this time.
I did have some questions, if that's all right, Amber. Just wanted to see, as far as your opinion, as individuals, you had mentioned maybe, or they could schedule a one-on-one appointment with you. What are some things that a candidate could potentially stand out from maybe others that might be applying for the same position? Is there anything in particular that your team or you personally that really jumps out at you during this process as far as an individual applying for a position?
For me personally, I like to see individuals that are looking for professional growth and self-starters and people. Generally, when I engage with a candidate, I pay attention to things like, do they follow directions? Just as simple as if I'm sending them an email and I ask them to do something or send me information back, if they are timely, things of that nature. But generally, when I'm doing phone screens and I'm talking to people, I kind of try to fill out what their interests are and where they want to go within Premier Health. And that kind of gives me an idea of where I can proceed with this candidate. If there's someone that's genuinely interested in a position, like if they really care about the nursing profession, or if this is just a job.
Right. Awesome.
Amber, how many open roles are there right now at Premier?
I'm sorry?
How many open roles are there?
For nurses? Over 100. We have like I said, we're hiring full-time, part-time, PRN. We also just recently started doing what we call WPP, which is our weekend only positions offered at full-time. You get full-time benefits. You would just have to work every single weekend. That would be the normal, like 8 to 5 schedule. It would be every Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we also have opportunities for remote now. So plenty of ways to go once you are internal within Premier.
Another question I had, and this is really in particular to the interview process. You had mentioned during the presentation, once you get to the end, make sure you have some set questions to ask during the interview. Is there anything in particular that maybe you've heard previously, or anything that you really recommend people should be asking during that time?
Um, I'm trying to think on my own personal experience of things that I've asked at the end that kind of would make me stand out. And I'm literally drawing a blank here. But one simple question, just I have asked in the past, what is the hardest part about this job? Just, and it kind of like it, I could tell when I asked her that, it kind of took her off. She had to kind of think about it, like how do I respond to that question? um but it's not always, you may want to know what to expect when going into a role. So that's a potential question that you can ask. What is a typical day like on the unit? That's one that I always recommend people, so you can just kind of get that basic idea. And there is also the options to job shadow potentially in different areas within Premier. So, you don't have to feel like you're rushed into a particular area, because we want you to go where you are the best fit.
That's a fantastic opportunity to be able to do that. I feel like there's not enough places that allow you that opportunity to go and shadow prior, just to get a good feel. So that's fantastic. Um, I do have another question. Um, as far as, let's say, an individual is interested, sign-on bonus, relocation, cover. Is there anything in particular that Premier might offer individuals that are looking for positions? Anything like
Yes.
that? Benefits?
Yes, so over 50 miles from the hospital, they do offer relocation incentives from anywhere from between, I believe, 2,500 and $5,000. That is something that can be negotiated with your nurse manager once you actually get an interview. I know it's case by case basis, and it may depend on your experience as well. I'm not sure if they like if you have over 20 years experience, they may more so be open to the relocation, but that's not to say that we aren't taking new graduates, because we are as well, as long as they are over that 50. That's the goal. It has to be over 50 miles.
Awesome, thank you. Another thing you had mentioned, and I think not enough people do this, is you had mentioned as far as salary goes, negotiating. Like not enough people go in with that mindset of, oh, you can negotiate a higher salary. Now, obviously, there's a certain number where you can get to, but thank you for sharing that. I feel like people get locked in. They're like, oh, here's the offer. It's the final offer. And I think that's something that not enough people go in with the mindset of, okay, like everything might be negotiable. Now, there's certain things that aren't, but that's something you have to at least ask those questions during the process. And I
Right.
feel like people just don't. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because it's something that, again, not enough people come in with that mindset that they are able to negotiate some of these things. So maybe it is a relocation, assistance. That's something that could play a huge factor with somebody taking on one of these opportunities. So that's fantastic that you all even offer that.
Or in addition to the relocation, they do, I know sometimes they have done loan buybacks where they've paid for certain like sprints where they paid back for certain nursing degrees. We do have a tuition assistance and reimbursement, as how I was able to go to WGU.
I was getting ready
But
to mention it.
yep, yep. So I mean, there's many opportunities within Premier that offer growth and professional development. Part of one of the reasons I've been here for as long as I have. And when I started, I was entry level patient access specialist, scheduler. I only had my high school diploma at the time, but through the years, I've just stayed at it and just slowly rose through the ranks.
Fantastic. And Amber, I mean, your story just to go through WGU as well. Like that, what a fantastic advocate for our populations to be able to chat with you, somebody that's lived it. You know, like it's awesome opportunity to connect. So just testament to you as far as going through our program, and what a fantastic connection for those to utilize moving forward.
Yes, and I'm always willing. I'm trying to get my links together here. I'm sorry, it did not copy over because I just tried to put it in the chat. I was going to put my LinkedIn because I'm always, like I said, I'm a big advocate of LinkedIn. Reach out to me, add me if you have any questions. I think the last time we had this type of session, Nick, I did that and I had about 6 people reach out to me after the event, and they just wanted to know my experience with WGU, and that was a way for me to network. And let's see, hopefully it works this time. Did it pop through for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, I did send it to everyone. Good.
Yes,
Okay. Okay, so that is my Eightfold scheduler. If you just click that, you can select a time to speak with me one-on-one, and we can go into the details of the positions we have available, benefits, the whole shebang.
Perfect. And I'm going to send again. I'll send that in the follow-up email as well with the recording, so that people are able to access that.
Perfect.
Awesome. Nick, did you have anything additional you wanted to add?
Thanks again, Amber. Really appreciate the collaboration, and yeah, hopefully we can help you fill some of your open nursing roles. And yeah, grateful that Jennifer joined us tonight. And Jennifer, did you have any questions that may have popped up while we were chatting?
I do have a question. I wanted to know, so going back on the negotiating salaries, I wanted to ask a question about that. So, say if I didn't need to get benefits, would that be something that you can utilize? Like I'm not going to need the benefits if they could give a higher salary, like, 'cause say I have insurance for my
What?
spouse.
I would. I would. I'd use it as I would if that's something I would. That's actually a good idea. If it's not something, yeah, I would say definitely go for it. The main goal about negotiating, I just say to remain realistic. So a lot of times we have some nurses that come out of nursing school with no experience, no PCT, no anything, and automatically want that $100,000 nurse manager salary. But with anything, it takes experience, because regardless of whether you have a MBA, BSN, that experience is necessary. Versus especially with this uh period after COVID and how nursing has changed and the needs are so critical at this time. So when you go into negotiating, just be realistic with what you request, but I I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use that as a negotiation tool.
Good question.
Thank you.
Very good question. I never even thought of it. No one's ever asked that. So I was like, say, hey, try it out and see. I don't see how it would hurt anything. It's ultimately, if the organization wants you, they will do what it takes to bring you on board.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Amber, for jumping in and presenting on this and sharing the opportunities with Premier. We certainly appreciate it, and we look forward to the next one.
Yes, thank you so much for having me again, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, RJ.
All right, everyone, have a great rest of the night.
Have a
You
good night.
too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.